Hi guys, I'm Nicolette with Insomnicat, and today Brian and I are here with Rana Kordahi. She is the founder and director of the Selling Academy, as well as employee training services. So she's busy. Rana, thank you for joining us today. Can you please tell us more about yourself and what you do?
Thank you so much for having me both. So I'm a sales trainer and sales mindset coach, and I run two different sales companies. One is very niche for those that help people into employment that have been long-term unemployed. And the other one is more targeted at the non-sales people that are, technical people or partners in firms or mortgage brokers. So yeah, two different types of niches, which I've separated as well.
So how did your career kind of lead you to your current role and what you do now?
So my career although I've been working in sales for many years, my career started off in acting and filmmaking. And I studied acting for 3 years, and I wanted to walk the red carpet, but that didn't work out. So I took a job as a receptionist in a warehouse which sold bathroom products. And my only job was to answer the phone. So I was sitting in this dark warehouse. I had this desk in the corner with my internet. It was back in the days where you did chatting on SMS. MSN, that's it. So I just chatted all day and the phone was not ringing. And a month later, I thought this guy, because he just started the business and he spent millions of dollars on these bathroom products that he imported from China. And he was meant to sell them to builders. And I thought, if the phone doesn't ring, I'm going to lose my job and he's going to go bankrupt. So I got something called the Yellow Pages, and I just started to contact all the builders, making cold calls. I started to go out and meet them, go out like door knocking on building sites where they were building. And then I ended up selling a few weeks later. I sold a big sale with lots of 300 units. And yeah, that's my sales career. And I just realized I became then salesperson, sales manager. And then I realized that without sales, although he had a marketing strategy and that's important, but for business to business, you also need a sales strategy. You need somebody to go out hunting. Marketing, you can farm as much as you want, but yeah, you need the sales as well to complement.
So actually what I heard is kind of the hunger that started your path, right? You were hungry, you didn't want to lose your job, and that kind of inspired you to take on sales, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. It's like at that point, I didn't want to lose my job, but I almost like I enjoyed going out and just door knocking on different people, random people that I didn't know. Yeah, I actually enjoy, from memory now, I did enjoy it. It was something that's like exciting.
Is it a scary thing? I mean,
yeah, it's like, yeah. Yeah, so you know how people like skydiving and doing thrilling things? For me, cold calling or selling was like that. It's, okay. Yeah, because you get rejection, it's scary, but it's like, I like it, it's exciting because of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you feel like when you finally sell something, what does that feel like to you?
It feels amazing. Like sometimes you can get emotional or feel like chills in your body, especially if it's a big sale. Yeah, it's almost like gaming and then you're leveling up. Okay. And when you level up and you're winning, and then yeah, it's almost because you've worked so hard, you've had a lot of rejection, you've worked so many hours, and then finally you make that sale. So it is that sense of achievement because you've worked so hard. It's not like a normal job where you have to do this set of activities. Yeah, I mean, you can get an outcome from it, but sales, you can get maximum outcome like you wouldn't even expect sometimes. There's no limit.
So how so you said you started out like knocking on doors, right? And doing a lot of cold calling. How have sales and sales tactics really evolved over time for you?
So from what I've seen from back there, which was a very long time ago, to now, is number one is buyers have more information. So before, like, it was rare they didn't have all the information online. Like they couldn't Google us and find reviews about us. So they just had to trust either us or word of mouth. And sometimes there was no word of mouth. So buyers now are more intelligent than sellers. Like, so that's number one. Number two is I think millennials buy differently. So before, yeah, I was a little bit pushy. It wasn't more like I did build relationships. I did use some of the sales techniques that were a little bit high pressure. where now millennials are more purpose driven. They want to do business with people that are not pushy, and they want to do business with people that have, you know, like them social change. They're companies that are purpose driven. So even as a salesperson, if you are purpose driven and you lead with your why, they're more likely to want to connect with you. And number 3, technology. So technology plays a huge part in how sales has changed. Globalization, number 1. So there's a lot of competition. You know, if they don't like the price, if you're expensive but you're bad quality, they can go overseas and buy from there. Number 2 is the digitization, which is all the social media. So we can now advance ourselves in the sales process because we can build trust. Sometimes you can get in front of a buyer and they already know a lot about you. They already know your personality. They like you. They probably fell in love with you online if you've been building your personal brand. So that's the social selling. And number 3 is the AI. So AI has changed a lot in sales. Companies that use AI, I think there was a study that showed, I don't know, I don't quote me on this, but like 50% increase in their lead generation if they use AI as part of their sales strategy, and 60 to 70% less calls if they use AI. And also with AI now, like you've got from the algorithm, so now you're not making cold calls. You don't have to make cold calls where you're going to get a lot of rejection, because the algorithm can find out how engaged the buyer is on the marketing end with your website. And then the algorithm picks up the ratio of how likely they are to buy. So the calls that you're making or the outreach that you're doing is a lot more targeted and a lot more likely to convert into a sales meeting. But unfortunately, not a lot of companies are using AI because, you know, when it comes to sales, where we don't like sales, yeah, they don't like technology. That's why they're in sales, probably. So, yeah, so that's the 3 ways it's changed. Just to.
So you say that you believe everyone is a salesperson. I read that on your site. Can you talk a little bit about that and what you mean by that?
So we're always selling, even if you're not in a traditional sales role, you have to sell yourself, whether it's on a date, whether it's with your children, whether it's with your career, getting a career progression, even to sell your ideas, we're selling. And so I think it's important to realize that and not shy away from that and not look at sales like where you're trying to push somebody into something. It's more about just showing up in your best self and helping other people make decisions that are aligned to them as well, even if you're trying to sell an idea or even get a promotion.
I see. So how do you kind of get people in what you do in your career? How do you get people to kind of tap into that power when they do want to be in sales and kind of tap into that inner salesperson? You know, are there different strategies you take?
Yeah, so I believe number 1, it's connecting with the reason why knowing how to sell is important. So once you realize how much of an asset it is in your life, in your personal life, in your career, even in your own business, once you tap into that and realize I can have financial freedom, I can make a lot of money, I can help a lot of people, then you think about yourself first of all, then you think about all the stakeholders. So if you're working in a company, it's important to realize like you're on the front line. So if you are not selling, a lot of people can be affected. A lot of jobs can be affected. Also realize if you're selling something, a product, especially in business to business, that can help a company, then you are helping them solve their pain. So once you connect to the purpose and the why of all the different stakeholders, yourself, your team, your company, the buyer, then it's important to think about the reason why it's important to get on the phone. So the more compelling reasons you can have, specific reasons. So, you know, I want to go on that family holiday next year and I want to have enough money. I want to be able to thrive in my career. And you just make a list of as many reasons why, and then you think about the future. So you think about in 5 years, where do I want to, if I don't sell, what's going to happen if I'm not selling in 5 years in a negative way, all the negative things, like you to feel that kind of pain and urgency, and also think of all the positives, so the pain and the pleasure. So that's how I get people. I mean, it's a whole process through a strategy and a blueprint that we work on, but yeah, that's just like an overall in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. So you talked a little bit about solution selling, right? You know, where, you know, you're really selling a solution to companies' problems, especially in that B2B space. And so there's different types of selling, right? And that's one way. And some salespeople that, we've run across are really great at solution selling and some aren't. So how do, and because that's really, a lot of times that solution sale is your bigger sale, I'm assuming, right? The bigger dollars, right? So how do salespeople get better at solution selling? Is there a way for them to really focus and work on that?
Number one, it's important to get better at listening and asking intelligent questions, because solution selling is not about you and your product and your pitch and how brilliant you are. It's about discovering the problem and then tailoring a solution to that customer. And if there's no solution, you don't have one, then recommending them to somebody else that might, or just being honest and not trying to push something that they don't have. But also there's a AI technology that has assessed over 2 million calls, 2 million or millions of calls, sales calls, and they found out that the best salespeople are the ones that talk less, and there's a back and forth conversation, and they're not pitching, and they're asking intelligent questions. So they're asking more questions.
So what's an intelligent question?
So an intelligent question is, well, for me, as soon as when somebody contacts me, I always say, may I just ask what compelled you to contact me? And then they might be like, well, they might give me all their challenges without me asking them the upfront question about what are your challenges? So asking somebody, what are your challenges straight out is not intelligent for me. So I'll ask them, what compelled you to contact me? I ask them current questions, like what is happening in the business right now? I ask them future questions, where they want to be in the future. And I also ask them past questions, how they bought in the past. And this is something I learned from a great sales trainer. His name is Luigi Presidente. If you ever want to interview another sales expert, he's in Australia and he's great. He's brilliant. So he's very data driven and understands B2B inside out. So he talks about, when you ask good questions, you ask about what is currently happening in the business. You begin with current problems, current, things that are happening, how they're currently doing things, the status quo currently. Then you ask, the second type of question you ask is their past. So how have you purchased in the past? How has it been for you in the past? Tell me about your experience in the past. So you understand even objections, if they've had an issue with a company like yours, or they've had an issue with a product like yours. And then you ask about the future. So where do you want to be in the future in your company? Where do you see it in 5 years? What do you think, how do you think you can solve this problem? Why do you think it's important to solve this problem? So the answers need to come from them. So it's important, like people are more likely to buy when they're talking, and it's more important for it to be their idea. And also for you to take them on a thinking journey. So you're almost like a coach, and you're helping them create insights. So when they leave that conversation, they don't think it's a waste of time, even though they're not buying. I've had people say, you know what, it's not the right thing for me, but this conversation was so valuable that I felt like it was coaching conversation. And I've learned some stuff about myself in business that no one's ever asked me these questions.
So what are some of the key challenges that some of your clients face, sales clients, because you do empower other sales professionals, right? So you do sales training. So what are some of the challenges that they come across? Some of the kind of big ones that come up.
So if I want to talk more about like an overall high level and not niching it, it would be, number one is to build trust. So to get time with the customer. Because in the end of the day, they're always like, who are you? Why should I care? I've had 10 other people call me this week just like you. So it's important. A lot of them don't know how to build trust or authority before they even get on the phone. Another one is how to fill their pipeline with prospects. So some of them might be great at closing and having that great coffee conversation, but they just don't know how to do prospecting, because sometimes they have to do everything, especially in smaller companies. And another one is the confidence. So the biggest issue for them is that fear of rejection, not feeling good enough, feeling like I'm going to annoy this person, or they even have might not believe in themselves, their products, or even believe that what they have is important. So that fear and confidence as well.
So it's they almost don't even, they may not believe in the product or solution sometimes even, you know.
Yeah, because I always say, just because you might not want to spend that much money on whatever a first class ticket doesn't mean that somebody else won't, and doesn't mean that it's not important for somebody else, for example. So we always think that because of our values, we might not see the benefit in that product because we might not have a use for it, have this problem, does not mean that somebody else won't. Like sometimes people even start off with, oh yeah, I can give you a discount and things like that, because they believe that they personally can't afford it. And they grew up with that kind of scarcity mindset where everything's about discount and cheap and things like that, where they might not realize this customer doesn't care because the price is not even an issue to them. They might be rolling in money and you don't know that. Or maybe they have so much pain that they're willing to spend, and maybe sometimes spending that money is what's going to help them take that product or service seriously in order for them to make that change. So sometimes it's important for them to spend $10,000 because if they got it for cheaper, they're not going to value that solution that you're offering them.
Right. So it's almost like they're negotiating with themselves before they
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, definitely. That's a great point. Yeah.
So, Rana, what would you say is some of the best advice you could give somebody? Give us some of your greatest sales advice.
Okay, so there's a lot, but I believe number one, don't go learning how to sell if you can't work on your mindset and your confidence, number one, because it doesn't matter what kind of sales knowledge you have, or you might have the best questions, the best script. People can smell insecurity. They just know that you're not confident. So number one, work on your confidence before you work on any sales skills. Number two, think long-term. Don't just go out hunting. Yeah, cold calling, cold emailing. We need to do that. That's important. But we need to also know how to plant and nurture and think about the compound effect, where everything we're doing today, all the planting we're doing, that social media post you did last year could be paying off now. That networking event that you went to and built those relationships now could pay off in 3 years. So it's not just, focus on building relationships. And number three, it's important to always walk into any sales situation, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's networking, whether it's on a cold call, and think about who can I help today rather than who can I take from today. Now, if you can think about yourself as helping and giving, you're going to have a better conversation, you're going to have better connections, and you're also going to build trust and build that rapport with the prospect. So that's my advice. Oh, and number four, important, talk less. So yeah, ask intelligent questions, learn how to do that. But studies show that the best salespeople actually talk no more than 30 to 20% of the sales interaction. So really listen, find out problems, and think about, and take that customer on a thinking journey where they have to come up with their own solutions, not you. So pitch less, ask more. So that's 4 tips I've given.
Brian, what do you got?
I think you hit it all. Thank you, Rana, for spending time with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian and Nicolette. Yeah. Nicolette,
you can get my name wrong if you'd like.
It's nice. I was just, because I can't see your name because it's blurry because I wear glasses, but I took them off for this meeting.
So, Rana, can you tell us a little bit more about where we could find some more information on some sales coaching and stuff like that on your site?
So thesellingacademy.net, which is the website, and we do corporate sales training. But if you're an individual that just wants to learn how to sell and you're a non-salesperson, we have a great course. It's I did it with a guy from America, and so it's called Selling for Non-Sale. If you go to sellingfornonsalespeople.com, you can get that course online. You just click and then you can do it anytime, and you have 1 year access to that program.
Awesome. Hold on. Actually, I have one last question before I let you go. I was thinking about what you're talking about confidence in your product, right?
Yeah.
So what about people who don't really understand the product that they're selling? I mean, how important is it to truly understand and be enmeshed in that thing that you're selling, whatever it might be?
I think it's, definitely. You need to understand the product. You need to know it inside out. But I don't think you need to know it on such a technical level that you lose the customer when you're pitching. Because sometimes when I knew my product too well on a technical level, I lost people. they were like, I don't care. So it's important to know the product, but understand how this product is going to solve someone's pain. That's more important.
And how did you learn that? By just getting in there and studying what you were selling, for people who are not familiar with whatever you're selling,
Or say someone that's starting out even.
Right.
Right. Or you
oh yeah, it takes a while. Like if you're just starting out in a new industry and you're selling, say, medical equipment, yeah, you need to understand the product on a very well, because when you're having a conversation with a doctor, you need to know about this technology more than the doctor. So that is so important. But at the same time, although you know all this information, it's not necessary to be able to pitch that information. The only time it's important is when they ask you specific questions about this product. So maybe you might pitch 3 important benefits that are important to them based on the discovery that you did through the asking questions. Then you'll be like, well, based on what you said, this is how it can help you. But although there's 10 benefits, but you then will pitch 3 that they've mentioned and that are important to them.
Right.
Because what happens is when people know their product too much, especially technical people, the pre-sales people, they sometimes ruin the sale for salespeople. Because I don't know if you've ever heard where they go in and they just feature dump. Yeah. And when they feature, and I've had friends and people that I've coached and said to me, I don't want to take the technical person with me because they just know the product so well and they just feature dump. And the customer's eyes are glazing over. They don't really care. So when we are pitching our product, it's about how is it going to help them improve their day, improve their life, bring them more money, bring them more time, improve their business, help their team, help their mental state, help their sleep at night, all that kind of stuff. Because when you watch a commercial, you don't look at how they are talking about the product. You see how they talk about the emotion of how this product is going to change your life.
Right.
So
it's not about the spec most of the time.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, you're both marketers. You understand this. I'm sure you know this yourself, because it's marketing and sales. It's communication.
Right.
All right. I'll really let you go this time.
No worries. That's a good question as well. Because you that question was like, wow, okay. I had to think about this one because, and I learned something while I was telling you while I was answering this question as well.
Well, again, check Rana out, and we'll have some links and whatnot. Check her out.
Rana,
great. Thank you
once again.
Thank you. Great shirt.
Thank you.